Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm the host with the most. My name is Gomez, and tonight we do have a special guest, the lovely Stacey Forbes. Good evening, Stacey. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Well, it's a true honor having you. My first actress actually on my show.
Oh,
Um,
that's honorable. Thank you.
and I'm a little nervous. You've been in a lot of good movies. I've seen your list. You also did a nice little movie for 16 episodes of a TV, looks like an online TV show that I was
Yeah.
actually able to find. So a lot of good stuff you've done.
Thank you.
But the first question I will ask, how did you get into acting?
Well, believe it or not, I used to do beauty pageants when I was in high school. And I swear that's where I got my acting skills from because I felt like I just didn't fit in there. I wanted to like have fun and be goofy, and they're trying to teach me etiquette classes. I mean, I literally had to go to an etiquette class so they could teach me what spoon to pick up, what fork to pick up. And it wasn't for me. I was like, I did find like the one or two people that kind of I vibed with, and we stole the exit signs from the hotel rooms. We did some fun stuff like that. My mother's like, you can't do stuff like that, they're watching everything. I'm like, I know that, but I was like crawling out of my skin doing it. So long story short, I was doing the pageants, and then one thing leads to another. You never know who's in an audience or who's
Mhm.
watching. And I was scouted by a New England Models Group, which I was really surprised at first because I got a letter in the mail and they already knew like who I was, what I had done, where I was, just they just knew all of my background information. And I was like, this is crazy. Is this real? I honestly thought that it was fake. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I called and I was like, how did you find me? And they said, well, we scout everywhere. So we scout online, we scout at the mall. If somebody mentions your name and gives us a clip to look at, that's what we do. That's what we're paid for. I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. So they brought me in, and it was like it was interesting because I had never, I mean, when you're in beauty pageants, yeah, you're expected to be, a certain height, a certain
Mhm.
weight, all of that stuff. And with acting, it's different. But the group that scouted me was a modeling agency slash acting as well, but they were more so modeling. And they basically told me when they first saw me, they're like, you're gonna have to color your hair.
Ooh.
You need to drop 15 pounds. Um, and they gave me a script to read, and they had me read the script a few times, and then they would critique it and have me do it again, and then they signed me on the spot. So that was my first agent. And then it kind of spiraled from there. She's like, you can have agents in multiple states. I'm like, why would I want to do that? Like, I'm a New England girl at heart. Like, this is where I live, I grew up. My family's here. And they're like, well, if you ever want to, venture out a little bit, it's good to have that support system in place. So I ended up signing with three more agencies. So I was signed in New York, California, um, California, Texas,
Wow.
Massachusetts, New Hampshire. So I had a bunch of agents, which was great. And it's fun until it's not fun anymore, because there was a fine line between, I'm like, I really want to be an actress. Like, I don't want to be a model. I want to be an actress. Like, I
Mhm.
want I want to be able to speak and use emotion and all of that good stuff. And so I kind of, strayed away from the modeling gigs. Like, they would send me auditions and I'm like, no, if you have any acting gigs, definitely hit me up though. I definitely would do it. But you learn so much in such a short time. Like, I felt like I was thrown into it so quickly. I mean, I put myself into it and I really wanted to like
Right.
go forward and grow and do movies and you know e- everything everyone dreams of. They're like, you worked with who? Oh my God, you worked with who? And it is that big. It's like it is that exciting. I mean, I can remember just being like the first few sets that I had, that I was in. It was crazy because they could be anywhere from 6 to 10 hour, 11-hour days. But once you stop filming, like, you're I don't know, you just change, like your whole vibe changes. You go from being so tired and ready to go home to like so pumped up like the night just started. It's
That
crazy.
that's actually kind of cool because I have talked to news anchors the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Here in New Jersey, and they say to me, it's like when Sandy hit us. That's a great example when Hurricane
Mm-hmm.
Sandy hit the state of New Jersey, and they
Right.
were working for New Jersey News 12, and they were stuck there like
Mm-hmm.
for 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
And excuse me, and how tired they were. But when the camera turned on, it's like you're a totally different person.
Right.
So, for me, I've never had that. My dream was to become a film director. Um,
Oh.
I'm a huge movie buff.
Mm-hmm.
I am known through my last podcast was I am such a huge movie guy.
Mm-hmm.
Love the movies. I've grown up watching movies. I've If you saw the collection of movies, you'd be surprised. I I love the way people act. Like I saw you with your one of the shows that you did actually. The what was the name of that? It's the 16 episode that you did.
Oh, the family problem.
Yeah, the family. I saw how you
Yeah.
were. You're very good as a detective too, actually, and the emotions
I
that you
always,
had.
I tried.
But you're very good. But it it doesn't matter. You got to sit next to Adam Sandler in Grown Ups too. That's
Yeah, I did.
how awesome was that?
Well, that was it was really unexpected. And that was one of those days where we were on set for like 7 or 8 hours and it
Right.
was summertime. So it was wicked hot. And we were in a gymnasium, but Adam treated us like really well. He had catering set up for us. So there were all
Oh
these
wow.
different stations while we were waiting. There was like a Chinese food station, a Mexican, an Italian, a steakhouse. I mean, he took really, really good care of us.
And
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, please finish.
so when we finally went in to film, I didn't even know that I was going to be in that scene literally until seconds before. And there was a girl that was sitting next to me and she's like, you're going to be really happy in about 5 minutes. I'm like, I am? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I can't say, but you're going to be really happy. I'm like, okay. And then Maria Bello came in and Salma Hayek came in and they sat, Maria
Right.
Bello, me, and then Salma Hayek sat behind me, and then Kevin James sat next to me. And we were just kind of like hanging out and talking. And he's like, the worst part of my life is I have to wake up every day because he's a huge Yankees fan,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and his son was born in Boston. He's like, do you know how much that pains my heart? That just hurts me every day to my core. But they were just like real, like really nice, down to earth people. I mean, Adam was really nice. It's funny because I was thinking last night about things that you learn, but
Mhm.
there's no other way to learn unless you like actually experience them yourself. And I learned a valuable lesson that day because I was sitting with a bunch of girls and we were just kind of talking and hanging out before we started to shoot. And
Mhm.
this guy came up and he had like a scraggly looking beard and a flannel on and a Budweiser hat and work boots. And he was trying to like hang out with us. And I wasn't being like the mean girl, but I was like, I'm not here to hook up or meet guys.
Mhm.
I just wanna get a line. Like I just want to get a line in something.
Right.
And it was David Spade. And I
Oh,
didn't know. I was like, damn, here I am, like strong arming him, trying to get him out of the conversation.
it was kind of funny the way you just described it. I was like, wasn't that David Spade in the movie?
I didn't know. He's so little.
That's
Sorry,
what I
David.
hear.
He's so little. And the only reason I even knew who he was because Adam grabbed a mic and was like, David, stop flirting with the girls. Come here. Run your lines. It was just kind of funny.
That's so awesome. But I mean, from what I hear and see on TV and anywhere that you see Adam Sandler is how humble he is.
He
He's
takes care of everyone. That is a fact. I mean, I know he had some cast there that were going through a lot of personal things at the time, like
mm,
divorce and whatever else. And he always supports them. He always pulls them into his films.
yeah. I
He
mean,
does.
he always has his core people. David
Yes.
Spade, Kevin James,
Yeah.
Chris Rock,
Mm-hmm.
um, I almost said Steven Tyler, but that's the wrong rock band.
Close.
Oh God, what was the one guy's name? There's another. There's one more guy I can't remember. It's gonna hit me in a little while, and it's like every movie you see with Adam, they're all together from like The
Yeah.
Waterboy, Happy Gilmore,
Yep.
Grown Ups. I mean, yeah, Shaquille. Did you get a chance to see Shaquille O'Neal? Like how
I didn't see. Well, he was there. I saw him, but I wasn't able to talk to him or anything. He was like in the way, way back.
way back, but he's the tallest one you could see through
Oh yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Now you've been in Ted 2. You were what one of the
Yeah.
waitresses in Ted 2.
Yep. I was a waitress and I was actually a friend of the bride.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah, yeah, they used me a couple of times in that. Mark
See,
is
I
like,
didn't.
I was lucky because when Mark films here, they call me.
Nice,
And
nice.
I'm not saying they call me because, I'm just like this fantastic actress. They call because they learn who's dependable, who's going to show up on
Mhm.
time, who's going to listen, who's not going to try to sneak pictures or, nag them to read a script. So they remember you. They
And
do
that's the
remember
good
you. And
thing.
they'll, yeah,
And
for
actually, you were
sure.
actually in two of my favorite Mark Wahlberg movies, Ted 2, which I always love watching. I love the first one too. But you were also in Patriots Day as one of the runners, the marathon runners. How was
Yep,
that?
I was a nurse too.
Oh, you were the
I
nurse.
was
Okay,
in,
but
no, I was both. I was
how
both.
did
I
you
was
feel doing that role?
Well, it was ironic because I used to work at that hospital.
Wow, really?
So it was so strange when we filmed there. I mean, that's where they were taken to. And it was cool because the director that was there, he was very upfront. He's like, listen, I want to be honest. He's like, medical isn't my thing. He's like, I do film. So if you see something that isn't right or that doesn't look right, say something. He's like, if you think we need more people in scrubs or if you think that they're overdoing it or underdoing it, say something because I don't know. I wouldn't know. He was
Wow.
so open to it. He really was. He was so cool. And
And
with Patriots Day, I mean, um, well, even not only Patriots Day, but when the Boston Marathon bombing happened,
mhm.
um, I was working at the hospital where the MIT police officer was brought in, and the surgeons that I worked with saved his life.
Oh
And
wow.
every
Okay.
year, so it was really close to home for me. Every year, his mom and dad would send us a card and a huge bouquet of flowers every year, thanking us for
Wow.
saving him.
Now
So it was really like close to home.
that's close to home for anybody. For us, for me, seeing the Twin Towers come down here, and where I lived at
Yeah.
that time in Rutherford. I'm literally 15 minutes away from New York City, not even at that
Oh,
time.
oh.
So I got to see this. Well, it's not like it's like one of the best days of my life, but I remember when the second plane hit the second tower and
Mm-hmm.
literally could see it from home. And
See.
it was so huge, like a huge impact, like for you, it hit close to home. I knew a lot of people who were on standby, firefighters from my hometown at that point,
Mm-hmm.
going into the city, staying in New Jersey. One of my good friends was in the city when it happened, couldn't reach anybody. You know,
Yeah, my
that's
stepdad was in the city when it happened too, and he was fortunate because he was one of the last people to get a rent a car out to cross
oh
that bridge
wow.
before they closed it off and locked everyone in.
Wow. So I mean, see, like that's huge in everyone's life, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, with
Especially with you living in the Massachusetts area. I shouldn't say really Boston, but in the Massachusetts area.
mm-hmm. Well, it it's it was really hard to see during filming of Patriots Day.
Mhm.
I will I will say Mark is a perfect gentleman because I was trying to play Billy Badass and he's like, we're gonna do the explosives and it's gonna be loud. You should probably put some air things. I'm like, I don't need those. I'm
Right.
good. And then the first one went off. And I think he saw like the stunned look on my face. He's like, "You all right?" And I was like yelling. I'm like, "I'm okay." He's like, "I can hear you. Can you hear me?" It was so loud. He's like, "Do you want them now?" I'm like, "I think I do. I think I do." But what the thing with that movie is they actually brought in actual victims. So it was really hard to see it because
Mhm.
they lived it. I mean, we basically not I, but the crew basically brought in everything you could possibly think of to change this area to make it look like it was downtown Boston. We didn't really film in downtown Boston,
No,
but
I didn't think so because it would be hard to shut down downtown Boston just to film.
yeah, well, we should. In another film I did, R.I.P.D., we did
Mhm.
shut down downtown Rhode Island, and that was a disaster. Oh my
Mm.
God. Providence,
I could only imagine what it would be like.
yeah, it was awful. But yeah, but with Patriots Day, it was really hard to see some of the victims,
Mhm.
relive it. There was a woman there that lost both of her below her knees, her legs.
Her legs,
And
wow.
her husband was there, and he was so sweet. He carried her onto the gurney for us, and it was just so sweet. And it was so hard to watch though,
Hmm.
because I'm thinking, I can't imagine what's going through her mind right now.
Can't
And then
imagine
there was,
anybody, going through
yeah,
any of that. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think that, that helps too when you have people. They tried to get as many people as they could that were actually either at the marathon or worked in the
Mhm.
hospitals where those victims were treated, or knew of somebody or lost somebody. They tried to get as many people that were close to the actual event that they could,
Right.
which I thought was really cool of them to do that and support some of the victims that, they had life-changing things happen that day.
Oh, without a doubt. Even if you're a runner or you're one of the victims or you were not there and you feel, you know what I mean? Like we all, I feel like the East Coast is always like the worst hit sometimes. Um, you
Doesn't
know,
it feel that way?
you know, with me, New Jersey, not Katrina, I'm sorry, Sandy. That hit us hard because if you've ever been to Jersey, Jersey Shore is iconic, not just because of the
Mm-hmm.
TV show, just
Right.
where I lived in New Jersey all my life, and anytime you go to hang out with your friends as you're 17, 18, 19 years old, you're going to Seaside, you're going to Point Pleasant, you want to
Mm-hmm.
hang out with the big boys and the big girls,
Mm-hmm.
like with the adults, because that's the cool thing to do.
Right.
Just seeing the devastation of the shore was probably one of the hardest things I've ever seen. Just like when the Twin Towers collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
even when the Boston Marathon bombing happened, it's just that you feel like everyone gets close again. Everyone's there to help out each other. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Right.
Rivalries are done. Doesn't matter Boston Yankees, Boston, Bruins Rangers,
Mm-hmm.
New England Giants, you know what I mean? Patriots Giants. That's all over, you know what I mean? Everyone is just one group.
Right. I mean, the day after the bombings, especially, was so somber. Everybody would stop to let everybody else go. Nobody cared if they were late for work.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. It just didn't matter.
No, and that's dramatic for anybody though.
Hmm.
Especially with you being a nurse though, there when
Yeah.
it actually happened, not even the filming part, because the filming part you might have been emotional, I bet, throughout
Yeah.
doing that scene.
Yeah. I was very much so. I mean, that MIT officer, he was so lucky because he lost like 80% of his blood. It was insanity.
And I can only imagine, I mean, especially for you, because again, as an actress and as in real life, to seeing this, I mean, was it when you were doing that scene again? How difficult was it for you not to like emotionally not break down a little bit?
It was difficult, but I knew that I wasn't alone. There were
Hmm.
a lot of familiar faces there. Like I said, some of the victims that were there. Um, one of the most heartbreaking parts of that movie was the little boy that was in the stroller.
Yes.
I was around that scene quite a bit, and it was so hard to see him crying and crying and crying, and just thinking back to it.
Right.
It really was. I mean, and they were really good to people that they knew were affected by it. They were really good, like asking people if they needed a break, if they needed water,
Hmm.
you know, step away for a few minutes. They were really, gracious about that, and showed a lot of grace to people that, were from that area that experienced a lot of heartbreak because of it.
I have to commend you on that one, Stacey, because that's just difficult to even what you've gone through and what you did is in the movie is unreal. You know what I mean? So I had to give you a lot of credit for that.
There was a lot of people that actually stepped up. A lot of people. You'd be surprised. I mean,
I could I
hopefully
could
that
only
day will
imagine.
repeat itself.
Yeah. Hopefully never happens again in our soil, you know what I mean?
You
See,
know what's crazy is the one of the brothers that
mhm.
was hiding in the boat.
Yeah, I remember the younger brother.
That one of the doctors that I work for, that was her neighbor.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah, because she was freaking out. She was like, she called the office and was like telling us, she's like, I can't get to my kids. They closed everything off. I can't get to my
Uh,
kids. It was just, it was insane. And he ended up being in the boat next door to her house.
wow, that had to be really, really freaky, in a
Yeah, so many
sense.
like, oh my God moments with that whole thing.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, wow. I don't even know where to begin on that one, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
That's and
coincidental, crazy, all of
uh,
it.
I was actually going to say it's a holy shit moment.
It
Yes,
really is.
you could
It
really
really
curse on the show, so don't worry.
I try
Um,
not to. I
I
try
know,
not
same
to.
here, but that's one of those, oh my God
It is
moments.
a definite one of those moments for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and again, thank you for your services on that because again, you were working at that hospital too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. It's like you work there and then you do Patriots Day. It's like you go back to your own clothes. Like, did you feel like you were just going right to work? Like when you were
You
doing that
know,
part?
a funny story about that is I after we filmed the
Hmm.
next day, I was outside the hospital and I was working and I
Hmm.
was outside the hospital. So there was a guy that was either, I don't know if he was drunk or homeless or if he passed out, I don't know, but he was laying on the ground. So there was an ambulance like on the curb and there was two, EMTs and a paramedic trying to figure out what's going on with him.
Right.
So I thought I was doing the right thing and I stepped out onto the street to walk around the ambulance and get
Mhm.
back onto the sidewalk. And I heard this guy, he's like, hey, hey. And I was like, me? I go, I just want to stay out of the way. He's like, no, don't you remember me? I was like, no. He's like, I was security yesterday. And
Oh,
it was a cop. I was like, oh my God, did I just have a moment?
oh
I
my
just had a
God.
moment. I'm like, you recognize me? He's like, yeah. It was like, oh wow, someone recognized me. That's interesting. But yeah, it was kind of crazy because you go from like being on the set where people are like pampering your face and holding
Mhm.
umbrellas over you and making sure you don't have sweat on your face and bringing you water and snacks to like being a regular Joe Schmo the next day and treating patients. So, and it's funny because with my job, the hospital actually they were doing a segment on employees, like top
Mhm.
employees of the hospital. So they asked me if I would be willing to talk about acting. And they said, what a crazy coincidence it is that you are in medical, but you're also an actress. That's such a different, they're just two totally different vibes.
Right.
And they are, they really are. But I really enjoyed working on Patriots Day for sure. That was a great film.
That was a great. I love that movie. I actually own it somewhere in my collections. Either it's in my hard drive or I have it on Blu-ray. I just can't remember. It's one of those movies I remember wanting to watch for a long time, and I finally was able to get my hands on it. So for you, a lot of kudos for you on that and the crew
Thank you.
who made the movie, but also the nurses and the doctors who really helped all the victims.
Mm-hmm.
That day is a lot of kudos for all those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you did another one of my favorite movies, Bleed for This, with Miles
Oh
Teller.
yeah,
How
yes,
was
I
that?
did. That was pretty cool. I didn't know that I actually played the best friend of my Miles Teller's sister in the movie. So I
Yes.
was like right in the very beginning of the movie when we were all sitting on the couch and sharing and stuff. I was
Mhm.
in the very beginning. But that was interesting. The, those are like they're like the things I was talking about earlier. Like you have to experience it to understand it. I was so excited to be there, and they had all these streets blocked off, and they rented a house, and it was an older house. So if you moved, the floor creaked. So they were filming on, say, the first floor, and I was like on the second floor. And they gave me my wardrobe, and they're like, "You got to get in there and change really quick and get right back out here." So I was trying to change really quick, and all of a sudden, I heard the director yelling, "Who's squeaking?" I was like, "Oh my God, that was me! Oh my God!"
Oh no.
I'm like, I'm sorry." But it's you learn on set like what to do, what not to do. I mean, I don't know how they expected me to not creak because the it was all wooden floors throughout the house and it was so old, so old.
It's very when I used to have cousins who lived in Massachusetts. So when I hear Boston, I think of old homes, especially in the city.
Yeah,
My cousins lived in is it, I think it was North Andover or Andover they lived.
Okay.
So it's outside, I think 35 minutes outside of Boston, if I
Yep.
remember correctly. So
Yep.
I used to visit my family up in Boston and over so many times, and I would stay in up there for for the entire week, and it's not funny, but the accent, I hear the Bostonian accent, you know what I mean, and
What
it just
accent?
exactly. But you know what? But it's funny. It's such a great accent though. If I didn't live in New Jersey, there's another state, two states I would live in: San Diego out in the west, Boston here because I love the city. It
Yeah.
feels like home to
Yep.
me, especially being close to New York.
Yep.
The Boston teams are hard to cheer for me because I'm a diehard New Yorker. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
understand.
but I respect the Bruins. I
Mm-hmm.
respect the Celtics. I respect Boston Red Sox. Yes, I'm saying it as a Yankee fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I do respect the New England Patriots a little bit. Tom
I
Brady,
went to
God
when I
bless
went
you,
to
Tom
LA,
Brady.
I came back from LA with the Boston Red Sox tattoo on my butt. I
Oh my
did.
God.
They were like, "What do you want to put on?" And they had like this big book of things, and I was like, "Well, I got to represent." And it was one of those things that I thought I'm gonna hide it like right on my lower back so no one will ever see it. And didn't I have a shoot for Nike like the next, I don't know, it was like 2 weeks later, and they had me like looking over my shoulder, and they're like, "What is that thing on your back?" I was like, "What thing?"
Oh
They could
no.
see it through the shirt. And I was like, "Oh shoot, can you
Oh
Photoshop that?" They did Photoshop it, but
wow. But still, yeah, you got a tattoo of the Boston Red Sox.
I did. I just got the B.
Yeah, but still, you got to give it credit where credit's due. That's not easy to do, especially in the backside.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few. I have two in each arm and one on my leg. So, but no sports teams on me. I've known
Mm-hmm.
people who've gotten Yankees tattoos the year that the Yankees were up 3-0 on Boston, and Boston came back to win 4 games in a row. And I'm like, you did not get a tattoo saying world champs that year, did you? He goes, I did. I go, you dumb.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, listen, I respect a lot of the teams up in that area because I'm a huge New York Rangers fan. So Boston Bruins, one of these original six teams of hockey, with
Mm-hmm.
the New York Rangers. New England Patriots, Tom Brady had made that the place to truly, truly dislike him and hate the team as passionately as I do. But I still respect the damn guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Boston
Yeah.
Celtics. I love the Boston Celtics in the past. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to basketball, I'm old school. I'm
Yeah.
not a big now fan of basketball anymore. Um, as everyone knows, I'm not a fan of LeBron James, so he kind of killed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
When he left from Cleveland to Miami, saying I'm taking my talents to
Yeah.
Miami, and I was just like, oh God, I can't anymore. But
Yep. There are times you hear things like that on the set too that you want to cringe at, but you just pretend you don't hear it.
exactly. But that's the respect part I have for anybody, with their sports teams, passion. Listen, people could say, oh, Rangers suck. I go, whatever. Thanks for at least you're admitting that the Rangers are playing tonight.
Right.
Um, as being living in New Jersey, with the New Jersey Devils, it's hard because the state's conflicted with New Jersey Devils or New York Rangers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love the city more than I love New Jersey, but New Jersey is my home.
Right.
Um, you know, did I, growing up, did I say I'm going to become a podcaster? No, I really was into movies and I really wanted to direct movies. I didn't even want to be in the movie. I love the way to tell people how to do the scene. Like, I like that direction to help somebody become better. And when I didn't get into film school, I became a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like if I took my ideas of becoming a director, maybe I could apply these to young kids' minds to help them
Yeah.
get better. And that's what I did for almost 6 years, coached high school football.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And I was coaching the freshman team. I scouted for the varsity team. And, I loved every minute of it because, like you, when you're as a nurse, you're getting to help people. For me, I'm teaching kids not to make the mistakes I made in high school.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're big and strong. Sometimes you're not going anywhere.
Right. Exactly.
Dreams can come true or be deflated. Um,
Hmm.
Unfortunately, my dream was deflated when NYU did not accept me, or UCLA. But here I am, many years later, I have my own podcast show, and I'm meeting great, interesting people like yourself.
Yeah, I was looking at your videos earlier today. You've had quite a few people on your panel.
Yeah. And
Really interesting.
thank you. I mean, I just started this in January,
Not too shabby.
and I'm still working on it. As you can
Hmm.
see, every time I'm learning more, I'm getting better.
Are you
And
doing all your own editing and everything?
to be honest with you, it's uncut, unraw, unedited. Like
Cool.
me.
That's
Why?
good.
Why do I do it? It's because I want people to see the real me, and that's what I love to do. Like, a friend of mine, her name is Angela Bryden. She came on with. We talked about autism.
Hmm.
I went to high school with her. She's 30 years in the Broadway business.
Oh, wow.
So I've known her since high school. We're great friends. She's an incredible person. She just retired when she found out her son had autism.
Oh.
So I get it. And I learned a lot more from her.
Hmm.
Another one I did is another good friend of mine, Jeanette, who's living with type 1 diabetes for a
Yep.
good chunk of her life. That's another great friend of mine. You know what I mean? I went to high school with her. A lot of the guys that you see are are friends of mine, but they also have a story to tell.
Yeah, you have a mixed bag. I like it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's me. I love see like tonight it's so cool to be talking to you because you have such great stories already, you know what I mean? And that's what I love to hear. You
Well,
know,
thank you.
you know, you're a nurse by day, but actress at night, or you could be actress at night, nurse, at night, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you got this thing going on too. And that's what I love because it gives other people who are a platform to talk.
Right.
And, and that's something I love to do because I love to talk. I love to listen, as you could hear, but I like to get to know the person too, to make them feel comfortable, to enjoy themselves, to being on the show, to even hopefully bring them back on again,
Yeah, no, definitely.
you know, and it's just awesome to hear your stories on some of these movies. You know,
Oh, there's always stories.
I can only imagine. I mean, now you did a couple years with family problems. Now, how did that work in with you during that time?
That was really tough because I was working.
Mm,
And so I would work full time and then I would go right from work to rehearsal. And I wouldn't get home until midnight most nights. But it was something that I wanted to do. I really wanted to be part of it. And,
mm.
Seth Chitwood, he's the director. I loved him so much. He's just so sweet. And even to this day, I love him. I talk to him every now and then. And he's going big places, I think.
Good.
But he let me kind of brought me out of my shell, so to speak. And, he was open to letting me try new things. And he was just a really good coach too.
That's
You
good.
know, he was really open with me. He's like, well, try to do it this way, or maybe if you try to do it this way. And he was really good at directing and writing, and he did everything.
Oh wow! So he actually developed the whole show himself.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was
Wow.
on like local TV in Rhode Island.
Yeah, but I was
Yeah.
able to find it online though,
Good.
so I got to watch actually a couple of episodes to see the show a little bit. So I got to see, with your lines and everything. It was very surprising because when you don't know somebody like us tonight, this is the first time we're talking and really seeing and really meeting each other. It's always interesting to hear the platform of you. You know what I mean? That's why it's more like a celebration for you
Hmm.
than me
Right.
because I want everyone to know you.
Well, for me, it's just so exciting to talk about it with people and, share stories. And I know a lot of people are like, give us the dirt, give us like who's the mean ones, who's not nice on set. And I won't do that.
No, and
But
that's not what it's about.
no, it's really not because you learn something from everyone, whether
Mhm.
they're kind to you or not. I can tell you, I was really lucky with grown ups too because I was late for the I always tell this story. but it was just such a it was just such a good day for me.
Mhm.
Initially I was running late for the rehearsal, not the rehearsal, the audition.
Oh
So
wow.
I had my headshot, I had my keys in my hand, and I got to the door and it was closed. They were like done. And I'm looking around the parking lot like somebody from California must still be here. God, tell me somebody's still here from California. There's got to be a
Right.
director or somebody walking around here. And this woman came outside to smoke a cigarette, and I asked her if I could go in and use the bathroom. And she just looked at me like, I go, no, honestly, I've been driving around for 2 hours trying to get here. I really just have to use the bathroom and then I'll leave. I'm not going to try to find anybody, or I'm not desperate. And I was coming back from the bathroom and I was just about to go into the parking lot and take off. And this little dude he just had like a Metallica t-shirt on and a pair of jeans. And he's like, how'd you do? And I was like, oh, I didn't do. He's like, why didn't you? And I said, because I was late. And he's like, well, if they tell you 3 o'clock, you should be here by 10 out of three. Not 3 o'clock, not 10 past, but you should be here like early.
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, no, I totally get it. Absolutely. And I said I was stuck in traffic and there was a lot of construction, and there's always construction in Boston anyway. But he was so nice. He's like, well, my name is Billy Dowd. He's like, I'm the casting director and I like you. He's like, I'm gonna call you in the morning and we're gonna set something up. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, he had me on the set the next day.
That's such a great story, though. See, and that's the thing that people don't realize. Like,
Be
sometimes,
nice to everyone. That's my
yeah,
advice. You never know who you're dealing with. I mean, any other girl probably would have been, because he asked for my headshot. He's like, let me take a look at that. And he took it
mhm,
out of my hand. Most girls would have been like, give me that back. Like, who are you? Because he
right,
didn't look like, when you think of somebody's going to be a casting director, you just have these high expectations. And
right.
he was just a regular old guy.
And that's what I hear a lot. That some of these casting directors are. It's just a normal guy.
Yep,
You don't realize who you're talking to, and
exactly. Be nice to everyone.
that's one thing. Like for instance, I had two-time Emmy Award winner news anchor Christina Bear on my show,
I saw that.
and
I
for
did see that.
and what was really cool is that I was talking to her on Instagram. Like I started following her, um, started liking her pictures, and then I started making like little comments like, "Oh, this is so cute with the kids. This is awesome." And then she started actually replying back.
Oh,
So, which was great because I was like, "Wow, a celebrity is replying back to me." For me, it's like a huge deal because this is before I started podcasting. And then when I started the show, I was like, "I wonder if I can get her on the show." And I just DM'd her on Instagram, like how I texted you on Twitter. She goes, "Oh, I would love to come on the show." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." You know what I mean? It was perfect because my at that time it was slow in the February because work, so I was able to leave a little earlier to accommodate her. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
For her time because she's married with her kids, and I get that. And she took an hour of her busy schedule just to talk to me. I was still a little small podcaster. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, though. Good for you.
And it's developed because I've had Cara DeFalco, which is another local New Jersey celebrity. She has her hit YouTube channel, Cara's Cucina. She cooks, and it's actually an Emmy nominated show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's huge. I had Don Smith, and these are just some, and these are just name a few celebrities under 30 shows for me,
Right.
and that's huge because I learned something from everybody, especially you. You don't realize how much you learn from talking to somebody.
Right. No, absolutely.
And that's why I leave when everybody asks me, why don't you edit? Because I don't want people to think it's a boring show. I want the people to hear and see the person I'm talking to. Like I totally get, we talked earlier, and we said, I agreed to whatever you wanted to do. And I had no problem with that, but I want people to hear you give out your message, give out your stories, because that's the beauty part. It's a podcast. It's a place for
Mm-hmm.
you to celebrate that person. Me, I just love the conversations.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Well, you're
love
a
to
great
do.
conversationalist. I'll give you that.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, thank you very much, Stacey, because that means a lot to me. And people don't
Doing all
realize,
the right things, Alex. You're doing all the right things.
and that means a lot to me because Christina said the same thing. Marissa Brini, another New Jersey local celebrity. Cara, I actually got to hang out with Cara.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah, we got to go to a restaurant that I did an interview with, a show, my episode two, Sabor Peru, and she's been trying to go there. I'm like, well, why don't we hang out one night and let's go? Boom, and we were laughing.
Fun.
It was for me, it was such a great honor and opportunity that I'll never. It's like you never know, like you said, you just never know when someone can bring you onto a show like hers, maybe one day, or uh, I now made friends with other people. It's just great to know. You know what I mean? I just released another one, celebrity chef Jesse Jones.
Hmm.
Um, Another great person. He's going to be on WPIX News 11:12 here in New York tomorrow at 9 a.m. So it just shows like how me being such a small little podcaster is able to do so much in under 30 episodes.
Yeah, for sure. And I
And
mean, social media helps for, to make it a little bit easier for you to be able to connect with people too. I mean, I know we went back and forth quite a bit, but I mean, at least we're able to connect.
yes, and that was the great part because I was like, wow, can I get her to come on the show? Like I doubted myself a little bit. You know what I mean? You never know,
I'm
like you
really
said.
honored to be here.
I'm really honored to have you here because it means a lot to me.
Thank you.
And hearing your stories, hearing your stuff is so awesome because it's an opportunity to get to know who Stacey is. You know what I mean? To know that you modeled for Nike, which I love Nike too. I'm a big supporter of Nike, actually. Um, I just these are the cool things that you don't realize when you're talking. You know what I mean? And for me, I fully love it because A, you're a great conversationalist too.
Thank
B,
you.
you're a great actress. C, you have a lot of great things going for you. And when people see you, I hope people see you how you have a great heart. You talk from the heart. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can hear that. And that's something I love too when I'm talking to somebody.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now,
It's nice to be able to actually talk about things that go on the set and, all the different experiences that you have because I don't think people really get to see that side of it. They think you go on a set and you're just pampered the whole time. And it is work. I know a lot of people like, what do? They talk. But it is a lot of work. I've had to film outside in 0-degree weather. I've filmed outside where there was a car on fire. I almost got hit in RIPD. I
oh,
mean, there was, there's so many backstories that people don't know. And I think I don't know, it's good for an actor to be able to to share those stories.
no, and I agree with you 100% because sharing those stories is what makes somebody so good. Again, like you said, no one knows what it's like to be on a set for
You have
30.
no idea. I mean, I've had to get up. I had to be in New York at 5:30 in the morning.
Ooh,
So I was up at like 1 a.m. so that I could rush myself there. But it's different. It's different for everybody, I think, because it depends on, where you live, like where you're shooting and stuff like that too. But it takes a team to get you to where you need to be ready to shoot, to have everything in order and in place. I mean, I think that's why when COVID hit, it was just such a terrible time because they limited the amount of people that you could have on a set.
mm-hmm.
And you're so used to having all these extra hands that can get things when you need them. And you end up finding you're doing your own makeup or you're trying to pick out your own wardrobe. And it's like, it was never like that before, and they had to
Right.
minimize. And I mean, and that's kind of a fun thing too, because, when you're in the arts, and that's why I like working with independent filmmakers too, not
Mhm.
not always like the feature films. I like working with like Family Problems, like Seth. He's his own guy. He makes his own rules. And I like doing stuff like that too because you have to be so creative because you're on such a tight budget. It's not like a Grown Ups 2 or a Ted 2 or
Mhm.
American Hustle budget.
Right. It's like you said, the great things that happen on set, the pampering and all that, that's just great. But also, like you say, getting up 5 hours to drive down from Boston to New York.
Yeah.
That's not an easy thing to do. Sometimes you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, get ready.
Mhm.
You have your bags packed for you're only going in the city for a day and then you're driving back home.
And you meet the greatest people. I
Mhm.
met this guy on the bus that he created the ticker for CNN. You know the ticker that scrolls across the screen?
Yes.
And like we literally spent like 5 hours talking about that. He was the nicest guy. He pulled out like a little pink iPod Touch and he had all these pictures of his daughters on it. It was so cute. But you meet like some of the nicest people.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's what I love. What, like I said, this is why I love what I do, because it brings me happiness, but I also can hear it in your voice, though, how happy you are talking about it. Because, like you said, everybody wants dirt. That's
Yeah,
This is not TMZ.
right.
I am not paparazzi. I just
hmm
want to know who you are, and that's what it is. And people don't
hmm
realize that. That even it doesn't matter if you're making the Ted Twos or the Sylvester Stallone movies. It doesn't matter if you're that guy or that girl or you're all the way in the bottom. Like if I was starting out, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
hmm
You are on the set and you're working.
Right. I'm
So
getting paid.
and you're
Right.
getting paid for
Yep.
something that you love to do.
hmm
See, for me, I don't care if I get paid to do this. I love what I do. Hey,
Good.
well,
There's always that chance. Perhaps you will.
would it be,
Yeah.
was there a chance that maybe someone said, hey, I love your show. We want to pay you to do it? I'm not going to say no to that. I'll love
hmm
to hear more about the ideas,
hmm
but
You never know. You
you never
never
know.
know. And
I,
that's
you,
why connections is so important to try to connect with as many people as you can.
oh, exactly. And that's, like I've talked to Christine, I talked to Kara, I talked to Don, I've talked to you now. You know what I mean? It's another connection I'm making, but I'm also making friends, not just
hmm
connections. So
Absolutely.
I can say, hey, Stace, what's going on? Like I did this morning.
Right. Right.
Shoot you an email. It's
Yeah.
just, hey, I'm just following up, seeing you're okay for tonight, making sure, it's just because I don't want you to feel rushed. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I just want to make sure you're all good.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And those are the little things people remember,
hmm
you
No,
know,
that's true.
and that's the thing with me. You know what I mean? It's the little odds, the little ends.
hmm
So, and that's why, I can't thank you enough for accepting the invitation to the show.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate you having me on here.
Oh, definitely. And, if you ever want to come back on and talk more, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you.
You
What else
know,
do you have coming up? You must have other shows planned.
I have some shows planned up. I'm actually be taking the summer, the month of July off. Um,
Nice.
I do have some family. I have my wife and my two kids. I am going to be spending some good quality time. So, um, got some episodes coming out in the month of July, into August, matter of fact, actually.
Good
So,
for you.
I'll be going into August. I'll be getting ready for the football season, just probably like as you, as a New England Patriots fan.
hmm
Um, we actually face the New York Giants will face the Patriots. Actually, I think week 7. I think at New England this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. Um, I'm getting ready for a couple of things that are going to be happening in the fall for my show. Nothing major.
hmm
One of my friends her episode will be released in July, and no, in a week from now, which will be aired, and you'll hear it again in June into August. My friend Jen, she's her Instagram is a Jersey Girl Travels, and she's all about like going to places in New Jersey, showing how good New Jersey is, but also like a food critic too. And
Oh, very cool.
me and
I'd
her
love
connect, me and her connected right away, actually.
that's awesome.
So we had a great conversation even after the show. We were talking for almost an hour after the show, just getting to know each other.
Nice.
So she's fun. We both love Taylor ham, egg, and cheese is not pork roll in New Jersey. Well, at least North New Jersey. We were just talking about that. She's a true New Jersey Devils fan. I am a New York Rangers fan, so that was kind of hard because that show she had a New Jersey Devil T-shirt on the whole entire time. So, well, it's it's making these friends that I'm making now is the best part for me. Um, it it
If you
just
happen to go through any of the anyone on my feed, that you want to meet up with, definitely hit me up and I can try to set you up with them.
I would anybody, Stacey, if you know anybody who has free time, please, you definitely have my email. Let me know because
Okay.
I'll gladly have them on the show. You know what I mean? I'm one of those guys that's pretty easy, as you could see.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know quite a few musicians that I think would like to be on it.
Oh, hey, the more the merrier. That's all I say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Stacey, we're coming out to that end of the night of the show, and first of all, I have to thank you so much for coming on. Um, the stories that you just told tonight is so awesome to hear. You just don't really hear a lot of this. And this is again why I love what I do. But also, thank you for your, coming on, but also telling us the Patriots Day story because that really hits home for me. And it really
Hmm.
does hit home for you hard because the respect of you being a nurse in Boston at that time, and then you're doing the movie. As a runner, then you're going in to film the nursing scene with
Hmm.
the MIT guy again, reliving that whole thing.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was crazy. It was creepy. It was creepy crazy.
yeah, that just a little too crazy for me, but very creepy in the other fact too, like you said.
Right.
Now, do you have anything upcoming coming up soon, or anything in the works for you this year?
I'm working on my tan at the moment. If New England would bring some sunshine, that would be awesome.
Okay, well,
Thank
hopefully the
you.
sun will come out to you soon.
I hope so. I hope so.
We just had sun today for the first time in like a week and a half almost from all that Canadian fire air coming at us hard.
I know this weather has not been helpful at all.
No, no, and hopefully it will change for you. It's supposed to be nice the next couple of days up by you.
I
Uh,
hope I'm
hoping.
ready.
Stacey, now as we come to the show, where can everyone find you these days if they want to connect with you or talk to you in any way?
Well, Twitter is probably the best place to reach me. It may take me a little bit to get back to you, but I do get back. I scan through my messages as often as I can. And as far as any of the films that I've been in, I have an Amazon profile and then I also have an IMDb profile. And both of those are on my Twitter header.
Great. Well, guys, as you can see, I can't thank Stacey enough for coming on tonight. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It was a true honor to have you on the show tonight.
Thank
Um,
you.
can't wait to have you back on if you decide to say, hey, I want to come back on and talk a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great talking to you, Alex.
Thank you so much. And guys, as I always say, dreams can come true and they do come true. So as I end my show, love, peace, and happiness, everybody. Good night.